Alright, so I got a couple of comments that I want to address, including yeah. What I will say, in my defense, I have found reviewing to be going to the artist and saying, hey, I love your work. Which is why that video ended up being a lot of glazing for the people involved. Because I believe that credit should go where credit is due. And that indie artists should be supported. I don't mean for this to be menacing or threatening, but if you don't sit through the credits when watching the movie and see everyone who was involved in that film, you're not a true cinephile. Don't even talk to me. You're not a true enjoyer of the art. Anyways, so here is my review. A more full-fledged review, but still upkeeping the promise of...
Please don't spoil the movie.
So no spoilers in chat or in this video. Disclaimer. There may be some things that I say in this video that can be very adjacent or get kind of close. However, I do want to pinpoint, to help avoid that, I'm going to be referring to things that were mentioned in the game, or things that were noticed in the game. So my first recommendation, if you have not already, it's a 46-minute video. Go watch this, which truly inspired everything you're gonna see in that film. Let me know when you have. Pause this video, come back, watch that first, come right back here. Okay, cool. So, it really helps to watch that video first before going in and seeing the movie, because it helps give a little bit of extra understanding. If you don't know the game Iron Lung, it does help you. The film does help you understand the plot of what is happening in the game, and then it adds on more. Very creatively, I will say. The writers did a phenomenal job in expanding a 45-minute game to being a 2-hour film. So yes, once again, I'm gonna glaze. Great job. It did get a little weak though. However, I think that might be on me. I have a little bit of trouble processing audio, and there are points that sometimes sounds overlap or voices overlap. I'm probably gonna understand it more when it comes out on digital and I could watch it with captions. That being said, it's still a very enjoyable plot. I recommend. Bouncing off of plot, let's go to one of my favorite parts of it. The cinematography, very clever. Once again, if you have not seen any playthroughs or even played through Iron Lung yourself, stop this video, watch one, come back here. They were so clever in how they recorded every shot because it helped keep things interesting. The entire film takes place inside of, lo and behold, the Iron Lung. So it's a little hard to work around that aspect, but they were so brilliant in the artistry of different shots to make everything seem new, to make intense scenes seem intense, even if you're confined to this space. They explored it brilliantly. No spoilers, so I'll not be saying how they did it. That will be up to you to go and see the art that the artists made. I'm gonna keep glazing these artists. They deserve to be seen. I digress. So, bouncing off of that one, adaptation. They did add on more information to help you feel more for the current trouble that Mark's character is experiencing. It's gonna be hard to find enjoyment in seeing a person in a small confined space for a long period of time if you can't connect with them. So they made a way for you to connect with Mark even if you're not a fan of Markiplier. Another point I want to talk about is the acting. Mark does a phenomenal job in being real about the moment, in making you feel with his character and it not feeling exaggerated. There are moments that it feels like He's helping spell out a little bit of the situation and how to feel, but it is very short, where it feels like you're stuck in a confined space and you're talking to yourself. Let that be as is. So it is realistic to an extent, where there are some moments that it does take that little extra nudge. He did a great job. And for any of you that are really kept up on Date with Markiplier, or In Space with Markiplier, or A Heist with Markiplier, there are moments that, at least personally for me, I was watching the movie and I got a little disconnected, mainly because of how much I watched him, and I just kind of watched it and I was just like, hey, that's Markiplier. So it really depends on how you frame it when watching it for pinpointing, yeah, it's Markiplier, or this is a guy just trying to survive. Which leads me into the impact of this movie. It does a great job in building that suspense and the eerie feeling of fearing the unknown, wanting to survive, wanting to live. While that is a main point that is made in the final trailer of, I just want to live, being the quote that he says or something along those lines, it truly does bring that new light of, if you feel like this might be your final moments, what would you do if you feel confined that, like, no matter what you do, you might die? Would you sit in that moment, or are you going to keep pushing forward to beat the odds? So I really enjoyed the mindset that the film gave me, even when walking out, of just seeing what this character went through and the choices that he made in opposed to what he could have done in the moments. But yes, it was slow to start, but as soon as it got you latched on, they kept running it. They kept ramming it. It was crazy, in a good way. Oink. In my last video, I spoke a lot about Andrew Hulshult and his music and how brilliant it was, so I'm not going to continue too much further into that beyond the soundtrack is on Spotify, and it's on Bandcamp if you want to support him more. Check it out. One of my favorite things to discuss when it comes to film or even theater is practical effects. And ooh golly jeepers, this film made my heart happy. You're probably gonna go into the movie thinking, all right, it's a bunch of YouTubers in a small group. They probably don't got the budget to make it look good. You are wrong. You are so wrong if you go into that film and you think that, because the artists that they hired, makeup, set design, costumes, even if it feels a little weird, over time you'll see that, like, there's actual function in the costumes in where the film takes place. Being in the sense of, like, what happens in that time period. Yes, I digress. They put so much attention to detail that near the end of the film, when it all comes together, jaw on the floor. It catches you off guard. That snowball is rolling and then it avalanches. And that's the only thing I'll say about it. Because
Please don't spoil the movie.
yeah, personally, I'd rate this film 8.5 out of 10. Because of everything that I mentioned. The artist had such a strong dedication to every aspect of the movie. And while there were some parts that didn't feel as fully fleshed, it was still very enjoyable. Because it's a horror film that doesn't feel like it's fetishizing gore. You would think in a film that used 80k gallons of blood that, oh, it's just going to be another Terrifier. No. It's blood with a point, and if there is body horror, it's with a point and a reason. And I love it when films actually do that, and it's not just time to slash it up because, wow, this on screen is gonna make people so frightened. It pisses me off. That stuff pisses me off. And so if you're not a fan of, like, needless gore, then you're gonna enjoy this movie. That being said, for those of you who are sensitive to certain things on the screen, I'm going to give you a content warning. Within this film, there is vomiting. Within this film, there is body horror, exclusively at the end of the film, but it's still important to note because it caught me off guard. I did get a little queasy because they did such a great job with the practical effects and the makeup. Shout out to those artists. I'm going to glaze them. I don't know who they are. I was told that there is a wiki page that has artists from Iron Lung listed on it. There's also, for those of you who have trouble with visuals and vertigo, be sure to take your meds, or at least be aware that there are some moments that the screen gets fuzzy on the sides and like it gets zoomed in on his face. It's showing that he is going through something. They really play into that with how they do the cinematography. So if any of you are sensitive to that, just make sure that you go in prepared and knowing that. What else am I forgetting? Ooh, I haven't done a review like this before and I don't want to spoil anything. Like literally, I think the only other actual full-fledged review on my channel is of the Five Nights at Freddy's Popeye meal. Oh, if any of you who want to know a bit more before going into the film, such as what visual cues or audio cues to look out for before any of those happen, leave a comment. I'll consider making a video with the note that, hey, this is partial spoilers, to help you go in a bit more prepared, or at least know when to go. All that fun stuff if needed, which no judgment. If you need to do that, that's a-okay. Don't worry about it. It's entirely valid. If that is something that you would like, because I made that offer on my TikTok and I think I've sent over 50 plus messages so far to people of what to look out for, when to look out for it, and keeping it vague, or if they want spoilers so that way they know what they're getting into. I've done that a lot via messages through my TikTok. So you could DM me there. It's the same handle here on YouTube. Or leave enough comments for me to know, just make a video already. You don't have to keep answering DMs. But nonetheless, I want to make sure that to those who are a bit more sensitive to those contents, you feel heard, you feel seen, and it is made accessible. Because we all want to support this project in the end. Not to be petty once again, to the fact that I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to say it. But I want to say it. I'm going to say it. If you have any problem with me gassing up the fact that they did a great freaking job of this film and the artist should be seen, and I'm going to be repeating everything that Markiplier kind of said in what to look out for and how to find this film, or where to find certain artists such as Andrew Holsholt and his Spotify, or the Blood Drive on ironlung.com, fight me. I'll meet you around the block, I don't care. Okay. Hold on, let me reset. I got a little too intense there. I'm calm now. I'm better, I let that out. After that subtle review, once again, not revealing too much because I don't want to spoil anything. I genuinely want you to experience this film to the best extent you can, with the exception to those that I'm offering a content warning for, because that's a different situation. But to those who are walking in and are like, this isn't a review, you didn't tell me if Markiplier says, is that the bite of 87 or not? Don't even come at me. I want those artists to be seen. I want this to continue. I want the energy of supporting small artists or content creators who have such big ideas, so that way it's actually seen in our entertainment industry. It's so hard to there's so many large film companies that are just so focused on putting out the same amount of content that there's sequel upon sequel, and then there's live action remakes upon sequel. And yes, am I calling out a company? I'm not gonna say. I worked for them for a small period of time, but I'm not gonna say anything. This is a breath of fresh air. Iron Lung was so interesting to check out because it's an adaptation of a film that's brought forth by a YouTuber, where a lot of people would go, a YouTuber don't they usually find things in Japanese forests that they get canceled for? Or this example that happened, or this example that happened. So a lot of YouTubers aren't taken seriously when they bring forth ideas. So seeing how far this has gone, it's incredible. I hope it leads to a ball rolling of getting more sight towards those creators who want to put out those ideas, who want to give the floor to the artists who worked on projects like this, such as makeup artists that worked on this film, or even the set designers. Like, how else are you gonna get an opportunity like that as an indie artist? So yeah, I'm gonna glaze them. Go see Iron Lung. If you can and if you feel comfortable to do so, donate your blood. You can find more information on ironlung.com. Thank you.